Alright, when I take an order for a gun stock, I get some dimensions from the customer because everybody is different. The industry standards are this, this, and this, and that covers the majority of people. Sometimes a gun maker will go a little off this way or that way to maybe find a new niche or something, but most people are covered by industry standards, and there's a good reason for following them because they've done a lot of R&D to get those standards. And like Chesterton said, never tear down a wall until you figure out why it was built. So I stay with those most of the time, but when custom orders are taken, I always get their length of pull because everybody's arms are different. Everybody's different, the way they put their face against the cheek piece, or the way their eye relief and things like that. So you have basically 4 different dimensions: length of pull, your drop at comb, drop at heel, and drop at toe. And if you have any cast off, which is a side-to-side difference away from center, that's another thing. So I want to show you how to measure for those things. All right, I'm going to be sighting down the bore. Now I did all this when I laid this gun out, when I drew the plan for it. I did all that stuff, but I've also left my wood oversized, a little big, so I have room for trimming it down. I also have room for margin of error in case I get off a little bit making it, then I can adjust. I'll have room to adjust. So I'm looking straight down the bore. I have the bolt out where I can see all the way down this bore, and I have a light at the far end of it, a light surface. I don't have a light. It's blinding if you put a light down there, but if you have a light surface, a sheet of paper, in this case the edge of my lampshade, I can look down that bore and center it up with the back of the bore. I can see the front and the back in 2 circles, 2 little concentric circles inside of one another. And then I'm going to put this ruler right here. This is called the comb. And I'm going to put this ruler here, and then I'm going to look down the barrel, the bore, and I'm going to put this pencil where it touches in the center line of that bore. And then I'm going to look up and read what I have here. In this case, I have a heavy 5/16. Well, the order says it needs to be 11/16. So, did I say 5/16? 5/8, which is a 16th less than 11/16. So when time I sand this down and do my shaping and everything, that'll come down another 1/16. I can make that happen. That's no problem. Now this is the heel. Imagine your foot. This is your leg. This is your heel. This is your toe. My drop at the heel on this one right now is 7/8 of an inch, and what he is asking for is actually 7/8 of an inch, so that one's spot on. Now the toe will be affected by how long this is. The longer it goes out, the more it drops down. So I need to establish my length of pull, which I already have, and it's about right there, and that's close enough for right now. In this case, I got to get a longer ruler because the drop at the toe is 6 1/8, and that ruler only goes to 6. So I can put the top of this ruler, the 1 inch, the 0 inch mark, dead in the middle of that bore, which is right there, and then read what I have here. And I've got 6 3/16, which is a 16th over an 1/8. By the time I bring that back to my line, it's spot on. So hey, I'd rather be lucky than good, right? Now this rifle, I'm going to make a little cast off because it's got a cheek piece on this side. I'm going to allow for that, and right here is where I'm going to draw a vertical line in line with that bore. Now I'm talking about side to side. I'm wanting to get a vertical line in line with the bore. It is exactly center line of where I drew my line to start with. So all my milling has lined up with the line where I had intended for it to be. Now I'm going to shift that over a little bit to give this gun some cast off. So this is the original line Now I'm going to ooch that. And this is my new center line at the back, my cast-off line. I've got it drawn on the back. I'm going to mark my length of pull and cut this off for the butt pad. To do this, measure from the front of the trigger in line with the bore, straight back. And he wants a 14 3/8 trigger pull. So I'm going to make it 13 3/8 because this pad is 1 inch thick. Typically, your toe is 1/8 to 3/16 less than the heel from a square, a 90-degree line with your bore. It's 1/8 to 3/16 out of square. So you put a square across this top. This top is, it should be in the line, in the center line of the bore. And you come up here and cross from square across that mark. And then you slant it 1/8 to 3/16 less than that, keeping that line of pull correct. And that's your cut mark. If you're marking center lines, you want to make sure that you mark your center line on the top and bottom, because you're fixing to cut off everything you just marked on this end. It's going to be gone. To my knowledge, all Pockmeyer screws require 1/8 of an inch pilot hole. And I use a screw that's just like one of these. As a matter of fact, it is one of these Pockmeyer screws. To cut those threads and just start them. And I put a little wax on that screw thread, so that when it goes in, that wax will heat up and it'll actually put a teeny bit of a wax coating down those threads. I don't use the screws they provide. I want to keep that head, that Phillips head, fresh and clean, because it's going to be taken out and put in and taken out so many times. So I use a practice screw to do that with. Then I'm going to measure the center to center is 3 1/8. This is a medium pad. And I'm going to mark 3 1/8 and then drill that second hole. Put a little drop of oil right where that cut is, where those screw heads go in. I didn't cut these. These came this way with the screws already inserted. When I buy them new, they're not cut. So you take a awl and you go through from the back and you punch a hole in the front, and where that hole is, you take a razor blade and slit that little tiny slit about 3/16 long, and you put your screw in there. But before you do any pushing and pulling of threaded screws and screwdrivers and everything else, put a little drop of oil on that thing. The oil will keep it from ripping out, keep it from tearing out. You don't want that thing to even gap open. So the oil also helps lubricate that screwdriver tip. I made some screwdriver tips just for this. I took and put them in a drill and then ground the shank down real tiny right there. It might weaken it, but it's plenty strong enough for this, and the main thing is it doesn't blow these things out.